with a declining tendency toward religious faith, and a depleting trust and sense of individual significance in systems of community, meaning, culture, economy, and state, facilitated in large part by the increasing proximity to vast amounts of information. Many of us see ourselves as inconsequential specks destined to pass from dust to ashes with nothing to show for it. In some sense, this may be true. However, there is one unique source of profound scientific-based significance that we all possess, no matter who we are and what we do, without the requirement of any grand illusions of achievement or faith in anything beyond. Everyone, you, I, everyone we know, and everyone knows, is born with this, woven into the very fabric of our relationship with reality. We wear it in every moment, and it cannot be taken off, not even by ourselves. It is the fact that each of us will change the course of everything forever. Let's consider for a moment that time travel were possible, and you went back in time some significant number of years. If, while you were there, you affected something, changed something, influenced something to go differently, stopped or started something that would have otherwise happened or not, and so on. Even with just seemingly tiny, insignificant alterations, it would be highly likely that you would dramatically change the course of events throughout history thereafter. The preceding future would become, potentially, a completely different one, or at the very least, a notably different one. Most of us accept and understand this. It is the concern, fear, or premise of a vast majority of films, books, shows, and so on that include time travel as a plot device. We recognize that affecting a small thing in the past can dramatically change the present, but yet we rarely think about how affecting a small thing in the present can dramatically change the future. Right now, without time travel as an option, reality still works the same way. In every present moment, your actions, interactions, influences, stopping and starting of things, and so on, in some likely sense, change the course of the future. Not every little thing we do always has a major impact on the course of events, but many likely do, and we do many things, both big and small, all the time. This process of how seemingly tiny, insignificant changes can lead to huge consequences is explained by what is known as the butterfly effect, part of the branch of science and mathematics known as chaos theory. Chaos theory deals with systems known as chaotic systems that react with high sensitivity to tiny changes in initial conditions, and through chaos, compound and lead to the generation of completely different, unpredictable outcomes in later states of the systems. Chaos is sort of a misleading term because this process is not truly chaotic in a random sense. Chaotic systems function according to the laws of motion, physics, and deterministic principles like everything else. But because of their immeasurably complex factors and high sensitivity to minute variability in the initial conditions, they are just nearly impossible to predict and appear chaotic. Examples of chaotic systems include the weather, aspects of the brain, population dynamics, ocean turbulence, traffic flow, aspects of the economy, and so on. And of course, reality as a whole is a chaotic system. It is the total sum chaos of all the chaotic systems combined. The most chaotic system a system can be. And of course, we are in this, part and parcel of it. As a simplified example, consider a scenario in which a person is living with a roommate. At around noon, this person becomes hungry and decides to have a meal. From the options available at their apartment, this person decides to make a tomato salad, and they use the last communal tomatoes in their apartment. Later that night, their roommate plans to have someone whom they are dating over for dinner, and intends to make a pasta dish with homemade tomato sauce. Before their date arrives, they realize they're now out of tomatoes and go to the grocery store to get more. When going to check out, by mere seconds, they get in line in front of another person. While checking out, the cashier mistakenly puts in the wrong code for the tomatoes and must clear out and re-input the code, the transaction totaling about 3 minutes. While on the drive home, the person who was behind them in line, now delayed by 3 minutes, just barely happens by a car accident that had occurred only a short moment earlier. This person who was in line happens to be an off-duty EMT, and after noticing one of the car accident victims on the ground unconscious, they pull over, get out, and provide the victim CPR, ultimately saving their life. This now rescued car accident victim, just recently having gotten married, goes on to live a normal life and have 2 children with their wife. Eventually, one of their 2 children goes on to become highly successful in the medical field and creates the formulation for a life-saving medication. As a result, thousands if not millions of lives are saved by this medication, allowing more lives and families to continue and be born. Further events would then continue on to and through these new individuals, affecting more events and leading to more people and things, building and compounding over time into a massive webbing of sprawling cause and effect, interacting with other chains of cause and effect along the way, all still interlinked with that original tomato salad. Of course, all of the events, even just the initial delay of the EMT, required many other places where slight changes occurred according to other causes. But ultimately, based on the butterfly effect, the effects of that one roommate deciding to eat a tomato salad would, at least in some varying degree of causality, continue on until the end of humanity, perhaps the world, and perhaps beyond. It is not uncommon to hear that one wants to change the world. It is the tagline to so many people's dreams and aspirations. It's a noble and virtuous enough ambition. Arguably, we should want to focus our efforts on intentionally doing as much good in the world as we can, trying to change it for the better, because perhaps the more people who try, the odds increase that it might. But ultimately, if one small action, like eating the last tomatoes, can potentially change the entire course of events in the future, what makes us think we could ever truly know the impact of our other actions? On the timescale of history, good, bad, and neutral events can never be fully known or identified. But what we can know is that our existence, although a seemingly insignificant fluke in a blip of time, through the butterfly effect, will flap out and leave its trailing legacy with potentially increasing dramatic effect for possibly the rest of history and perhaps beyond. Chaos theory takes away the long-term predictability of our actions, but gives us back a perpetual role in reality's operation. Your legacy, albeit indirect and anonymous, will continue. It is a flame whose fuse is anything in existence. This contemplation isn't a resolution or a placement to having a tangible, direct sense of purpose through the day-to-day responsibilities of a job, a career, a passion, a family, a friendship, and so on. But it is to potentially serve as a supplement for when, in those moments when some of the weight seems to suddenly drop out of these things, and they feel illusory, futile, or temporary, and we question if anything we do ultimately matters beyond us, if we mean anything to anything else. In these moments, we can remember that at least in some sense, we do so much, more than we would probably even like. In the final analysis, either no one matters at all or everyone matters completely. There is really no in between. No matter who you are, because of you, the course of reality's future will play out in a unique way. We are not only each the agents of our own story, but we are also the agents of the story of humanity, this earth, and perhaps beyond, collaborating on the unique expression of art that is the future. This video was sponsored by CuriosityStream. For those who appreciate thought-provoking educational content but still want to experience the same entertainment and engagement as watching their favorite shows and movies, CuriosityStream is the streaming platform for you. Providing thousands of documentaries and nonfiction titles from some of the world's best filmmakers in subjects like science, technology, nature, history, and much more, CuriosityStream is the subscription streaming service dedicated to the intersection of our desire to learn and our desire to forget that we are learning while we are. With enriching, beautifully produced pieces like Digits, featuring Vertasium's Derek Muller, David Attenborough's Light on Earth, and Transhumanism by Jason Silva, CuriosityStream offers titles featuring some of the most notable and familiar faces, voices, and minds in the field. CuriosityStream is available worldwide, on many if not most platforms, and is extremely affordable. If you're interested, you can go to curiositystream.com/POW and use promo code POW, P-O-W, and save an additional 25% off the already low subscription price, bringing the total down to just $14.99 a year, or $125 per month. An unbelievable price for the value. Again, please visit the link in the description and use code POW to sign up today. And of course, thank you so much for watching in general, and see you next video.